What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 routes that we feel all wide receivers need to know, and they need to know how to run them. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, we are going to be traveling out to 15 more states for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So next up, we are going to be coming out to San Francisco, Orlando, Florida, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities, would like to get some work in with us for 2 whole days, we're going to have DBs out there for one-on-ones, 8 hours of training total. Check out that very first link below, fellas. We'd absolutely love to have you out to one of our camps. Let's get started. So first route we're talking about here is going to be a fade route versus this outside shade zone coverage look, kind of like it's cover 3, where the DB's sitting, 7 to 10 yards off. How do we run this fade route? So this is a question we get asked a lot. So it's play at full speed. So Tyreek Hill shows a great example here of taking what the DB gives us. So this is something that I'm a firm believer in that you need to take what the DB gives for timing, for spacing, and to create separation. So let's break it down from the start. We have a DB who's lined up, Tyreek Hill. Obviously, how do we know that this DB is outside shade from this film? Tyreek Hill has a reduced split, and this DB is on the numbers, right? So if he's got a reduced split, DB's on the numbers, we know he's outside shade. So what's the point of this DB being outside shade? He's trying to force everything to the inside. He's got safety help. You can kind of see it over here. He wants Tyreek Hill to just run a post and go right into his help with this DB right on his hip and that safety right here, making it very tough on that quarterback. So as a wide receiver, if I'm running this deep fade ball, I cannot force the outside. A lot of people think that anytime you are running a fade, you must get an outside release. Now, there are times for it, like if it's cover 2, and let's say maybe you're running a fade from the outside and the slot receiver's running a 5-yard out, that's a must outside release because we're trying to get the corner out of there to set up the 5-yard out. But if it's like a 4 verts concept, you do not have to take the outside release every single time because this DB will not give it up. If he's outside shade, he's there for a reason. He's trying to force you inside. So if he were to just go up at him, Tyreek Hill, and tries to run around him, this DB is going to get hands and squeeze him to the sideline. His leverage responsibility is to protect the outside. So we have to take what he gives me. Now, this is where a lot of receiver coaches get upset with this because guys don't know how to restack. So remember, we said he's got safety help to the inside. So your game plan should be, I'm going to go attack his leverage, maybe try to widen him a little bit, and then take what he gives me to the inside. But you have to restack. Guys will do this. Guys will try to do this. They'll attack him. They'll give him a move outside, but they'll drift to the inside of the field. You're running right into the safety. We cannot do that. We have to close the space with him. Let's attack his leverage. Let's threaten his leverage. But when I decide to make that inside release, I have to put my head down. I got to dip my shoulder, and I have to be able to restack. Now, does it help that he's the fastest player in football? Absolutely helps with this. So maybe if you're not that guy who's crazy fast, who's faster than the corner, you close the distance a little more. You give him a harder cut to the outside. You don't just give him kind of this one step that doesn't really do much. You give him more of a threat to the outside. Because trust me, fellas, when a DB has a leverage, whether it's outside or whether it's inside, and you attack that leverage, a disciplined guy will keep it because he is taught, do not give up the outside release. Do not give it up because he does not have help over there. So he will stop at nothing to give that up. So now, is there another way you could run this? So obviously he's outside shade. That's how we'd want to do it. Take what he gives you. But what if you attack him and he doesn't keep his leverage? What if you're like running at him and this DB just kind of starts to backpedal? You absolutely could take the outside release there. It's obviously ideal to take the outside release. We just don't want to force it. So something you could do is instead of maybe giving him a jab outside, you give him a jab inside. We call that a vertical set. DB sits to the inside, and then we can slip behind. Ideally, we would love an outside release. What I'm trying to get across to you is that when you have that fade against cover 3 guy, outside shade, do not force it. You cannot force it because you're going to get squeezed. QB has no room. A quarterback needs room to fade you on this thing. Now, this ball was obviously a little bit underthrown, but imagine if it was thrown over the top. That's easy money for Tyreek Hill. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job attacking that leverage, taking what he gives him with that inside release, and winning on that fade ball. Now, let's talk about this clip here from Cooper Kupp. So this is the same thing, outside shade, zone. Now, what if you got a DB who's off about 7 to 8 yards and you have to run like a 10 to 12 yard out? What do you think you would do? Because obviously we talked about on that fade ball, take what he gives you, right? So if he's outside shade, but you have to run an outside breaking route, Do you want to try to attack his leverage? No, because that's just going to widen him. So let's watch what Cooper Kupp does here. This is textbook, and this is exactly how you'd want to play this route to keep spacing and to keep timing with your QB. This is a great throw also, by the way. But again, all we really need when you have a talented quarterback is about a step or two of separation. And again, it's about giving him space to throw you open. There is no defense for a perfect throw, but as a wide receiver, how I could set up that throw is by giving my quarterback space. So let's play this thing full speed. Let's break this thing down, So like I said, he's outside shade for a reason. The thing a lot of wide receivers will do in this case is when they have to run this out, because they've been taught, you got to go outside. You got to go outside. He'll be outside. They'll try to attack his leverage, like try to get to here and threaten the blind spot and then run the out route. But we know this based off of the last clip. If I have a disciplined DB and he's outside leverage, and let's say I go try to run at him here, what's he going to do? He's going to keep his leverage. So if you're here and the DB's here and you run at him and he widens, then you run this out route, you're already at the top of the numbers. You don't have any space to get out of the break. There's no space for the quarterback to lead you. Trust me, on an out route, a comeback, the QB needs space to lead you. So what you want to do is you want to threaten this DB vertical. On every single route, we're trying to make this guy think fade. So you want to attack his inside shoulder. When I can attack his inside shoulder, that could get him to open up his hips. Because no DB in zone coverage, cover 3, cover 4, his responsibility is what? The deep third, right? The deep fourth. He does not want to get beat deep. That's his sole purpose of being out there, besides his leverage, is do not get beat over the top. Or else they'd just be playing press the whole time if they were confident in that. So when we can attack that inside shoulder, I can get this DB's hips to flip if I sell it correctly. So how do you, because a lot of guys will go, well, what if I attack the inside shoulder and he just sits right there and I run into him? You're not selling the route enough. We got to have, it's a mindset to sell the route. You got to put your head down. You got to keep a good pad level. You got to run in full stride and full speed all the way to the break point and be able to change direction. Because a lot of guys will try to do this and they'll go attack the inside shoulder, but right before it, they slow down. And when you slow down, DB slows down. Or they'll start chopping their stride to prepare for the cut. DB knows the cut's coming. Or what they'll do better yet is they'll run up and then they'll raise their chest up in the air like they're gearing up for a break. All of those are indicators, and we cannot have those when I am running this type of route. But now, because he sold it well, and because he made this break, maybe not the cleanest break, maybe not the most separation, but we have space to the sideline. Imagine if he would have ran this route, and he would have ended up breaking right here, and he comes out of this thing. There's no space, and the DB's right on your hip. That's not how we get separation. If you had to run like a post route, maybe, if you had to run a post, absolutely, you'd want to attack his blind spot, get him to widen and break on the post. But because it's an out route, we got to go at that inside shoulder, break this thing off, and now it's just a foot race. Now it is a race to the ball, but you gave yourself enough space. That's called spacing, fellas. You gave yourself enough space to go win that race to the ball and make that sideline catch. That's a great ball, too, by Stafford, but again, we set that up by giving him space. Let's play at full speed. Great job by Kupp attacking the inside shoulder, treating this just like a regular route, not being too creative and trying to attack that leverage. Okay, so now, we talk a lot about leverage, right? We talked about outside shade, briefly touched on inside shade. What do you do if it's head up? And this is a great release to use when it's head up. I really think on any route that's outside breaking. So this is Amari Cooper here. We're looking at this receiver right here, and he's going to be doing something we call a dive release. So let's play this full speed. So a dive release is pretty much where you just dive to the inside, try to sell like you're running a drag, and I love it on out routes at 10, 5-yard outs, comebacks, fades, anything out of corners, anything outside breaking. I love this dive release. I don't really like it on anything inside breaking just because I feel like it's not really necessary, but let's break it down. So we like this against head up. I personally wouldn't like this against anything else, but it's a way to just get this guy to crash on like a drag. Because if he's head up and he's looking at you, he's obviously still in man coverage, right? And what's great against man coverage? Drags. Teams love to run that like mesh concept where you mesh the two slot wide receivers. Maybe you've ran that a couple times in the game, whatever it might be. This is a great release to sell that. So Cooper, when he comes off the line here, he goes hard 2 steps to the inside. Now, a lot of people feel uncomfortable on this release because they don't do this with their first step. You see how Cooper kind of pivots his first step? That gives you balance and allows you to take 2 steps. So you go here, you pivot off the front foot, you cross with your back foot, plant off of the front foot again. So it's right, left. Now, some people think of it in threes because of that pivot step. So they think left, right, left. However you guys process this for you is fine. But the main keys to get this DB to jump is we have to make it look like a drag. So just like that out route with Cooper Kupp, just like a fade route, you have to make sure that we are running full speed. My stride does not chop, and I'm actually committed with my hips and my shoulders. Everything about this looks like a drag because that's the only way that we can get this DB to commit. Now, the mistake guys will make on this dive release, especially against head-up press, is they'll dive, but because they have so much speed, it's hard for them to change direction upfield. They'll dive across the middle, but when they make that cut, they widen out and then push back up vertical. You have to go, as soon as we get that DB to commit, we have to go hip to hip with him. I call it getting skinny because now when I get hip to hip and I can push up vertical, maybe I got him by a step, maybe I'm able to restack him. He's fully committed. He's got his hips and shoulders turned. He's thinking fade because we got out of the break quickly. So just make sure, fellas, we don't cut and then try to avoid. Or worse yet, this is what a lot of guys will do, is they'll try to oversell it. And instead of just cutting in stride, guys will reach. So they'll like really reach outside their frame. And when you reach, you can't make a sharp cut because your feet are outside your frame. So they'll get stuck. They'll reach, and instead of pushing out of it, they will just get stuck right there and take maybe 2 extra steps, then get up into the route. Those little wasted motion, those little details, that makes a huge difference against a talented DB. And if you're in the NFL, you're a talented DB. I don't care what anybody says. I can't stand it when people say that. They're in the NFL, the best in the world. So this attention to detail here, and it's not something he's thinking about, by the way. This is something that he has repped out over and over and over again. But he cuts, pushes off that leg, gets right up into that route, gets the DB to commit his hips because it looks so much like a fade, and we could get separation on that out. I love this on anything outside breaking or a fade. So dive release, that is a great release to use when you maybe have that head up coverage. He doesn't even have to be this far. He could be a little bit closer, but when he's head up, maybe anywhere from 2 to 5 yards off. Let's play at full speed. Great job by Cooper using that dive, pushing up vertical and getting skinny so he could win on that out route. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. You guys help keep this channel going. So all the feedback is always appreciated. Any videos you'd like to see next, etc. And again, fellas, we are coming out to 15 more cities and states this off season. So check out that very first link below. If we were coming to a state or city near you or your hometown, we would love to have you out to one of our camps for 2 whole days. And again, spots are limited. We're only taking 50 guys so we could actually coach you up. It's not one of those scam camps where it's just a million reps and nobody's getting any better, nobody's getting any coaching. That's not how it is, and I know you guys know that. So check out that very first link below if you're interested, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.